What if the most spectacular stadium at the Winter Olympics was never meant to last? Imagine building a massive arena on a frozen mountainside just for it to be used 4 times before being torn down and forgotten. Let's uncover why this stadium was built, what it symbolized, and how something so grand disappeared so fast. Before the world knew its name, Pyeongchang was just a quiet mountain town in South Korea. Peaceful, remote, known mostly for skiing and silence. Surrounded by snowy forests and steep hills, it had never been in the global spotlight until 2011. That year, South Korea finally won the right to host the 2018 Winter Olympics. It was a big deal. The country had tried twice before and failed. All across South Korea, people celebrated. In Seoul, crowds cheered in the streets. And in Pyeongchang, there were tears of joy. It was a moment when a quiet corner of the country finally stepped into the light. Leaders promised a new future for the region. Better roads, faster trains, more jobs, and a wave of tourism that would transform the town into a global destination. The Olympics, they said, would bring real, lasting change. To represent that change, they needed something bold, something that would capture the world's attention. That vision became the Pyeongchang Olympic Stadium. But unlike most Olympic stadiums, this one wasn't built for sport. There were no races, no medals, no crowds roaring for victory. It was only built for show, for a few moments of ceremony, wonder, and pride. And once those moments passed, it would be taken down, piece by piece, as if it had never been there at all. The Pyeongchang Olympic Stadium wasn't just temporary. It was unusual in almost every way. Shaped like a pentagon, it stood wide and open in the middle of a frozen plateau, with no roof to block the snow and no heating to fight off the cold. Built at an altitude of over 700 meters, the wind was brutal, sweeping through the stadium as if the walls weren't even there. It carried a chill that sank deep into your bones and made everything ache. For many, it was nothing short of unbearable. Spectators came prepared, but even that wasn't enough. Most were handed blankets, seat warmers, and heat packs at the entrance. Some even wore 5 layers of clothing. Still, many were left shivering, teeth chattering, and faces red from the wind. The ceremonies were stunning, but for many in the crowd, the experience was more survival than celebration. Some called it unforgettable. Others called it unbearable. It seated 35,000 people, just enough to impress the world, and just small enough to remind everyone. This was never meant to last. It cost more than $100 million, and from the start, its purpose was clear. 4 nights of ceremony, then dismantled, taken apart as quickly as it had come together. There were no luxury boxes, no shelter from the cold, no heated halls to escape into between performances. Just bare steel, concrete, and light. For the spectators, it wasn't comfort, it was endurance. The stadium wasn't built for people to relax in. It was built to be looked at. A stage, nothing more, nothing less. On February 9th, 2018, the stadium came to life. This was one of the rare nights the stadium felt alive, filled with people, energy, and purpose. Tens of thousands of people filled the stands, wrapped in coats and blankets, bracing against the wind. Drones lit up the sky in perfect formation. K-pop echoed through the mountains, and traditional Korean dance and modern technology came together in a performance watched by millions around the world. The opening ceremony was bold, emotional, and deeply symbolic. North and South Korea marched together under a unified flag, a powerful image in a tense political moment. For one night, this temporary stage became the center of the world. The closing ceremony brought the same mix of art, culture, and celebration. Then came the Paralympic ceremonies, quieter in sound, but just as strong in spirit. No Olympic events were held here. No medals were won. No records were broken. But for those 4 nights, the stadium delivered what it was built for: a show, a moment, a memory. And once the lights dimmed and the cameras turned away, its purpose was complete. And just like that, it was over. The lights went out, the crowds left, the world moved on to the next city, the next story, the next Olympic Games. In Pyeongchang, the stadium stood quiet, just cold wind sweeping across empty seats. What had been the center of global attention for 4 unforgettable nights was now a massive silent shell in the snow. There were no plans to repurpose it, no sporting events scheduled, no concerts or festivals to fill the space. The stadium had served its purpose, and now it simply stood there, waiting for its end. Some called it a waste, others saw it as a symbol. News outlets questioned the cost. Local residents wondered what could have been built instead. Schools, hospitals, parks. It was a hard question to ignore. Why spend so much on something designed to disappear? In 2019, less than 2 years after it opened, the Pyeongchang Olympic Stadium was quietly demolished. No ceremony, no farewell, just cranes, trucks, and dust. When the stadium came down, there was no standing ovation, no final bow, just steel being hauled away and empty ground left behind. But its absence didn't mean it left nothing behind. In the space where the stadium once stood, a new cultural park slowly began to take shape. A museum, exhibition halls, and open spaces were built in its place, an attempt to preserve the memory of the Games without keeping the structure itself. For some, this was enough. A quiet tribute to a moment when the world looked toward the mountains of South Korea. For others, it felt like a patch for something that never should have been torn down or never should have been built at all. The Pyeongchang Olympics did bring new roads, new hotels, and attention to a place that once lived in the margins, but it also left behind debt, controversy, and a stadium remembered more for its disappearance than its design. So what is the legacy of a stadium that no longer exists? Maybe it's the firework flashes still remembered by those who watched in the cold. Maybe it's the way a small town once stood at the center of the world. Or maybe it's a reminder that not every legacy is built to last. Some are built to shine, then fade into the snow.